Yeah, if you guys saw my review of Split, I said over the last weekend I was just binge watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I figured why don't we just talk about that show, like, right now? Seems better than reviewing Resident Evil, doesn't it? Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 1, Water. This review is going to contain some spoilers. I'm not going to go like super in-depth with every single episode because there's like 20 episodes in this season, but I'm definitely going to hit on some important plot points. So Avatar: The Last Airbender was a show on Nickelodeon that started airing 12 years ago now, back in 2005, and the opening theme song or the opening credits of the show gives you everything you need to know. In this world, there's 4 different nations. You got the Water Tribe, Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, Air Nomads, and in each of those nations, there's a group of people and they're able to bend the elements of their nation. You know, the Earthbenders bend Earth, Firebenders are bending fire, and in this world there's one guy called the Avatar. He can bend all 4 elements, and it's his goal to keep the peace between all 4 nations. But the Avatar's gone missing. Flash forward 100 years from now, the Fire Nation has waged war on the rest of the world and they're nearing victory, and then the new Avatar emerges. He's an airbender. His name's Aang. I know it's not Aang, Shyamalan, it's Aang. I don't know where you would have gotten that from. Aang is the last of the airbenders. The rest of them got wiped out, and now he has to, throughout the course of the series, learn all the other 3 elements and battle the Fire Lord to end the war. All your exposition's done in the opening credits of the show. That's genius. Alright, so my experience with Avatar: The Last Airbender, I remember back in 05 when there was commercials for the show coming out on Nickelodeon, but the commercials were weird. It didn't really show a lot of artwork from the show. It was a lot of like papyrus drawings and Chinese lettering, and these commercials would come on while I was watching SpongeBob or Fairly Odd Parents, and I was like, what this show looks so stupid. So then in February of that year, the season premiere happened, and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna watch this just to see how stupid this is. And within 1 episode, I was just like, this is a good show. It only got better and better from that point. Avatar has become my favorite TV show of all time, and here's why. First of all, the world that this show sets up is really cool. I like the idea of being able to bend the elements. And the main plot of book 1 is Aang and 2 siblings, Katara and Sokka. They gotta go to the North Pole to teach Aang waterbending because they're from the South Pole and there's no waterbending masters in the South Pole, so they gotta travel to the North Pole so that he can master waterbending and then, you know, go to Earth and Fire after that. So they're traveling through all of these towns. The majority of it is in the Earth Kingdom because that's the biggest kingdom, but you also get to see little remnants of the Air Nomads and the Fire Nation. And each of those nations tailors their technology to whatever type of bending they have available. They go to this Fire Nation sanctuary, and there's one part where there's this big door that they gotta open. The door's got these little dragon heads on it, and it can only be opened by 5 fire blasts from there. There's another episode when they go to this earthbending city called Omashu. They're riding through the mail chutes, and the mail chutes have these big stone bins on them that are controlled by earthbending. I think that's cool. And then in the first season of the show, it's already filled with this really rich mythology. Of course, there's the whole thing with the Avatar and him mastering all 4 elements and keeping the peace. But there's also some episodes where Aang gets to go into the spirit world, and he learns this whole different other side of becoming the Avatar. Jumping to the end of the season real quick, a big part of the season finale is protecting the moon and the water spirits. These spirits have manifested themselves as koi fish in this like sacred pond that's in the North Pole, and it really shows that what the Fire Nation is trying to do is detrimental not just to the other nations but to the whole world, Fire Nation included. And of course the characters of the show, they're so good. Starting out with Aang. Aang is this kid. He's only 12 years old. Usually when you're told you're the Avatar, you don't find out till you're about 16 or 17 years old. However, the monks that raised Aang, they know like a war's coming. We gotta prepare this kid. So this kid is just thrown into this situation, and there's a really sweet episode where you go into Aang's backstory. Aang's friends start treating him a little bit different now that he's the Avatar. He's kind of like this god figure, and they're like, I don't know if we can talk to you. But Aang himself is staying the same. People's perception of him is what's changing. That messes with the kid's mind, so he actually runs away from becoming the Avatar. He's running away from his destiny. And a lot of this first season, it's stuff involving Aang stepping up and becoming the Avatar, as well as Aang coping with the fact that he abandoned the Air Nomads and they ended up getting wiped out by the Fire Nation. In the 3rd episode, they go to the Southern Air Temple where Aang was raised. That's when Aang finds out that all the other airbenders got wiped out because he walks into this one room and he sees his old mentor's skeleton, and it just freaks him out. He gets really angry. He can't control his rage, and you know, being the Avatar, he's a lot more powerful. It's like in X-Men First Class when Kevin Bacon killed Magneto's mom, and then Magneto just rages out and he can't control all of his powers, but he's just causing mayhem all around him. It's like that. Like, this guy's got crazy powers, but at the same time, he's just a kid. There's another sweet episode when Aang finds this guy who will teach him firebending, but the guy won't teach him because he's like, you're not ready, you're reckless, you're dangerous. Fire is a crazy powerful element, and you can't just goof around with this. Of course, Aang goofs around with it. He ends up hurting someone. Aang really runs that fine line of like, you root for him, yet you still get like, he's a kid, but he's not like an annoying kid. And the people Aang's traveling with are Katara and Sokka, 2 siblings from the Southern Water Tribe. Their mom died a long time ago, and 2 years before the start of the show, their dad and all the other men of the Southern Water Tribe went to go fight in the war. And the Southern Water Tribe's really struggling right now. It's really up to those 2 who are just teenagers to basically lead the tribe. Katara's really cool. She's the only waterbender in the South Pole, and Katara's still one of the few people that believes the Avatar is going to return from this 100-year hiatus. And so when they find Aang in the iceberg, she's immediately curious if Aang knows anything about the Avatar. Turns out he is the Avatar, and she's a really cool companion for Aang because she's kind of motherly, but at the same time she helps teach him some waterbending, and she helps to keep Aang a little more level in some of his more harebrained ideas. There's a fight in the season finale involving Katara, and she's become a waterbending master at this point. It's really cool seeing her from the beginning of the season when she could just make a few splashes to becoming like a full waterbending expert. And her brother Sokka, he's kind of the comedic relief of the show. Sokka's a guy that's got big aspirations, but he lets his own like Sokka-isms get in the way of those aspirations. He's trying to be like the very, yeah, go get him, let's go fight the Fire Nation like leader type of the group. And while he does get his butt kicked a fair amount of the times in the show, where Sokka really excels is in making plans for the group. For instance, when they go to that Fire Nation sanctuary with the 5 blast doors on it, Sokka, they don't have 5 firebenders for them, so Sokka comes with this idea. They basically just put 5 bombs inside of each of the mouths and light them all at the same time, and those explosions would open up the door. Now, it doesn't work, but that's kind of the intuitiveness that Sokka has. And now we have 2 of my favorite characters in the show, Zuko and Iroh. These guys are just the best. I don't even know which one I like more. Zuko is the prince of the Fire Nation. He's tasked with finding the Avatar, bringing him back to the Fire Lord. And at first you're like, alright, this spoiled little prince, he just wants to get the Avatar so he can please his daddy. But I'm telling you guys, this show has layers to it, and Zuko is a total testament to that. In the same episode, when you find out Aang's backstory, you also find out Zuko's backstory. Zuko's not just doing this for brownie points, he's doing this because he was banished from the Fire Nation. He's got this giant scar over his right eye that he got because his dad gave it to him when they were dueling. They were dueling because Zuko spoke out of turn at a general's meeting. He didn't know he was going to be fighting his father, so he stands down, and the Fire Lord shows no mercy. He walks up to him. The Fire Lord's also played by Mark Hamill, which is really cool. But in that flashback, the Fire Lord goes up to Zuko, who's kneeling. He's like, I'm not going to fight you, father. And the Fire Lord just tells him, you will learn respect, and suffering will be your teacher. It's cold. I mean, this kid's on a quest for redemption, and everything in this world is against him. Even the other Fire Nation commanders and generals they run into, they're like, you're a loser, outcast, like your dad doesn't even want you. So Zuko's got this whole world against him, but he's got one guy that has his back, and that is his uncle Iroh. His uncle is the Fire Lord's brother. He's Fire Nation, but Iroh kind of possesses some qualities of the Avatar in that he's looking out for the overall world more than he's looking out for the Fire Nation. In that season finale, there's a firebending commander named Admiral Zhao. He captures the Moon Spirit, and then Iroh fights him on it. He's like, this isn't gonna affect just the Water Tribe, this is gonna affect the Fire Nation, the whole world, everybody in it. And he gets angry. He's like, whatever you do that spirit, I'm gonna unleash on you tenfold. That's not to say he's squeaky clean either. Like, he's gonna support Zuko in his endeavors, which is to capture the Avatar. But at the same time, he realizes this fight is bigger than just Fire Nation versus the rest of the world. He recognizes this is more of a war of the world about to tear itself apart. And another really cool thing about this season is it puts in little things that you'll find out more about in the later seasons. Like near the end of the season, Zuko's going out on this one mission and Iroh's kind of babying him, like, make sure you keep your hood up and remember your breath of fire. Zuko tells me, like, I know this stuff already. And Iroh tells him, like, ever since I lost my son, I think of you as my own. And you just see that relationship as well as the stuff with Iroh's son. That stuff all just comes back in the later seasons. There's also, I would say, save for like 1, maybe 2 episodes in the season, there's really not a lot of filler. I mean, there's stuff that may seem like filler at the time, but in every single episode, I can either be like, oh, that was character development for Aang or character development for Katara. Or when you get into the later seasons, these characters are gonna come back into later seasons. The one episode that is kind of filler, it's that Great Divide episode. The gang is trying to help these 2 feuding tribes cross this canyon, and you could say this is kind of a test at the Avatar's peacemaking skills, but Aang doesn't actually solve anything. He tells them a lie to make everything okay at the end. And I guess you could throw out that Watchmen line, like, it's peace based on a lie, but it's peace nonetheless. Okay, yeah, sure, but for this morally upright monk, I just don't think he would solve it by lying to them. I also like how the show isn't really point A to point B. Like, you do get the plot at the beginning of the show. Aang's got to master all 4 elements, he's got to go fight the Fire Lord and the war, but then you find out that within the year, at the end of summer, this giant comet is gonna come, it's gonna make the Fire Lord invincible, basically. So if Aang doesn't defeat the Fire Lord by that point, it's the end of the world. Now the clock's ticking a little faster, it makes their mission feel even more urgent. I will say that book 1 is probably my least favorite season of Avatar. The animation in it's a little dated, and this season aired about 12 years ago now, so that's to be expected. You also gotta keep in mind that this show aired on Nickelodeon, so especially in this first season when they were still kind of finding their footing, there's a few points, whether it's a joke or a little side gag or something, when I'm like, that was clearly made for kids. But those moments never outweigh the really awesome parts of the show. So book 1 of Avatar, it sets up a really cool world. It's got great characters, a great mythology, really cool action too. Okay, I did say the animation's a little dated, but the fights on there still look really solid. There's a fight with Aang and Zuko, a fight with Zuko and Katara, a fight with Zhao and Zuko, most of which still look really solid. And the season finale of book 1, it's so cool. You really get to see Aang step into his role as the Avatar. You get to see parts of the spirit world and how Aang has to be the bridge between the spirit world and the human world, as well as tying the whole human world together. together. There's also some great moments with Zuko and Iroh, Katara and Sokka, and it sets up a really cool villain who's gonna come into play in seasons 2 and 3. This season sets up a world that's gonna be really awesome, yet it doesn't focus all of its time on that because season 1 itself is still really solid. So lightly put, if you haven't seen Avatar Book 1, go watch it right now. You can buy the whole series at Target on DVD for like $30. Just do it. I will be coming out later with reviews for Book 2 and Book 3, so look forward to those soon. But let me know what you guys think of Avatar Book 1 down in the comments. Let me know who your favorite Avatar character is. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, you can click subscribe and check out some of my other videos, and I'll catch you guys next time.